In his triumph back to frontline link Malaysia policy, Main Secretary-elect Mahathir incorporated to rapidly shape anew by the government and restore the guideline of Act. Next, a significant overnight that saw fracas-plagued Najib Razak firmly beaten at the polls by his ex-coach. Mahathir, who will be the planet's senior lead at 92-year-old, set a problem to Malaysia's constitution governor, Tsar Muhammad V, who is necessary to tire-stamp his assignment, to set him as the new lead by 5 p.m., 5:1 m. And we expect how by 5 o'clock present, we will include a main secretary, he told at a click meeting to mark his election win. Mahathir, who regulated the nation for 22 years, came out of resignation to problem the position in the nation's 14th general poll. The VET political figures coalition won 121 seats, quite to shape a easy most and get monitoring of the building. Barisan Nasional, the coalition how has led the nation with autonomy in 1964, just won 79 seats, a far cry of the 133 it won in the 2013 poll. Overthrown Malaysia Main Secretary Najib had over-conceded destruction. Confirming the election bloodbath, how saw his governing Barisan Nasional, BN, coalition Mississippi above 50 seats, Najib told how he accepts the will of the human beings, but as well trumpeted the artistic achievements of his by the government. In spite the beating at the polls, Najib's speaking emerging to taunt the opportunity how the sameness of the nation's following lead was not a foregone finding. Since no side got a easy most, the Tsar will solve whom to designate as main secretary. Barisan Nasional will take the Tsar's judgment, and I encourage all Malaysians to take the judgment quietly and location their belief in the Tsar to do a wisdom judgment. Previous pledges in his at first click meeting with his amazing win above BN, Mahathir told how he would go rapidly to end an unloved turnover taxation, and told how amongst his at first acts would be to organize for a forgiveness for his policy friend, an A-time policy retribution, Anwar Ibrahim, to enable him to de-enter policy. Anwar Remnant concluded following creature found those guilty of buggery in 2015, the other period same's been found concluded for the crime. He has length told how the extortion are politically reasoned. Same's anticipated to be liberated in June, following serving the great bulk of the verdict. Mahathir has previous incorporated to search a king forgiveness, that would cover the way for him subsequent the old Mahathir in fair a pair of year. Requested on his some pledge done for the campaigning to conduct a corrupt practices inquiry in Najib, he kept the ex-lead would be object to the guideline of Act. If the law says Najib has made thing incorrect, later he will include to person the ensuing consequences, he told. He added how a latter, contentious counterfeit news story law-wide seen as a policy instrument to suppress disagreement would go by overview. Front of the poll, Mahathir oneself was one of the at first aim by the Act. I cannot take the nation creature ruined by egoistic human beings who just believe on themselves, who rob cash. Najib's adverse campaigning and extortion how he affecting the redistricting of constituencies to roller his chances were mixed by length-running accusations of corrupt practices, generally occurring of a country foundation, named as the One Malaysia Growth Bearhood, usually named as 1MDB. Najib was as well by flame since of deep unloved moves such as the introduce of a consumer goods and services tax, GST, that lot Malaysians since has inflicted the price of residing to peak dramatically. The conquered ex-lead as well saw several members of his office, ministers and vice-ministers, conquered at the polls, and smashed out of 8 of the battles for monitoring of 12 country legislatures disputed in the poll. Poll day controversies. Voting day came in its own stake of controversies. Voters in several areas were rotated off by poll officials for tiring pants and somersault flops, in spite a declaration of the election committee's president the day up how down there wouldn't be a gown coating for voters. Down there were as well concoction of discrepancies in vote papers, in several voters who rotated up to throw their ballots said how they had already elect. Over in the date, opposition political community declared their phones and electronic mail accounts had been hacked and spammed, proverb it was a intentional try to violate their communication.